Hey guys, so today I thought I would film a good reads for summer kind of video, and I know this is a little bit delayed considering that a lot of us go back to school in about a month, but you know, those last ditch efforts at a vacation before you go back to school, these are perfect books to read. So it was really hard getting it down to 10 books because I'm a big reader, so I tried to keep it more targeted towards kids my age because although I love to read classics like Anna Karenina and Pride and Prejudice and all of those kinds of books, Journey to the Center of the Earth is one of my favorite books. Not a lot of kids my age are going to be, you know, picking up those kinds of books and saying, I'm going to read these over the summer willingly because, you know, most of them get assigned for English classes and whatnot. So I guess I will just start out instead of continuing to ramble, so let's just get on to the first book. So the very first book that has been my favorite book since summer started, I've read about 20-some books probably since summer started, but my favorite book since summer started, favorite book of the summer, has been this book, which is called The Last Wife of Henry VIII. If you don't know who Henry VIII is, King Henry VIII, he is the king that had a whole bunch of wives and was basically a womanizer, and, you know, his story is really cool. You can go look him up on Wikipedia. I can't really, you know, explain it all in 30 seconds because there's way too much to the story to do that. But this is by Carrie Erickson, and she has a whole bunch of books on the wives of Henry VIII, and she also has books on the Romanovs. Well, at least one of the Romanovs, Tatiana, which I plan to read all of her books. So it's basically following Catherine Parr, who is the sixth wife of Henry VIII, and it's told from her point of view, and it's really cool because it follows her from her first memory of the castle to literally her death, like, literally. But it is such a good book. It's not magnificently written, but the fact that this author puts in that kind of time to, like, research and do all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's awesome. But she has a PhD in medieval history, so that's probably why, but medieval history is one of my favorite parts of history. The Renaissance, that kind of stuff, it is fascinating to me, so I definitely recommend this book. Even if you don't like history that much, this will definitely get you into medieval history. I mean, at least I think it will. If it doesn't, then I can't help you if you are trying to entice your appetite for history, because this is probably the best that I can do. The next book is, actually I picked this book up while I was in Tennessee. The CW is making a TV series out of this, and it is the Carrie Diaries by Candace Bushnell. And Candace Bushnell wrote Sex and the City series, which I've never watched the TV show or read the books or any of that. I mean, I've seen a couple episodes, and I've never seen the movies either, but this one is supposed to be about Carrie before she goes to New York City and the whole Sex and the City series takes place, and that is really cool. This is written awesomely. I love this. This plot is amazing, and it's not one of those really cliche, like, woe is me, I hate everybody kind of teenage romance novels. It's not really even a romance novel. It's more about her life, which is, yeah. So I definitely recommend this. Go ahead, go pick it up now. Good. Pause the video, go online, order it, do something. All these books, just pause the video, go online. So the next two books that I'm going to talk about are kind of more leaning towards the classic side, but it's a series. And usually, I know kids my age aren't going to go and pick up classics and be like, I really want to read this. I'm a big classic fan. One of my favorite authors is Sir Conan Doyle, and he writes The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and I got this while I was in Tennessee and I read it, and a lot of people don't understand that Sherlock Holmes is about, well, the book isn't about one big story. It's a whole bunch of little stories put together, but they kind of relate to each other a little bit, and one of the first stories in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes is about Irene Adler, who, if you've seen the movies, the last movie that just came out, Game of Shadows, I think was the last movie that came out. I've seen them all. I think there's only 2. There might be 3. They're making another one, though. But Rachel McAdams plays Irene Adler, and you get to learn about her character in the first story in this book, which is awesome. And while I was at the beach, I went to a used bookstore. This is going to be in my haul, probably. and I got The Return of Sherlock Holmes, and I'm really excited to read this because this one has pictures. I don't even know what's going on in here. So the last book that I'm going to talk about that isn't on my my Nook is the Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac. And if you don't know what amnesia is, it's when you can't remember things. And so basically it's about this girl, and her name is Naomi, and that's cute because I have a niece named Naomi. But anyways, continuing. It's about this girl named Naomi, and she falls down the stairs and hits her head, like, at her school. Like, she falls down the stairs at her school and hits her head and loses her memory, and she can't remember anything from 6th grade and forward. So, and this is by Gabrielle Zevin, which I've never heard of him or her, but, like, nah, it's, it will quench your thirst. It will quench your thirst for that woe is me teenage romance novel, because that is a woe is me kind of sadistic kind of thing. So here's my Nook, and I'm gonna go through the books that I've read on here. So let's see, library. The first book that I'm going to talk about on my Nook is called Unwind, which I don't know if you can see that, but it is by Neil Shusterman, and the plot to this is so, like, oh, like, it's, oh my gosh. Okay, but anyways, so basically it is about, it's supposed to be in the future, and I know that abortion is a big thing right now, and will probably be a big thing until it gets settled, and it will probably never stop being a big thing. But in this book, how the government settles it is there's some kind of law, I can't remember what it was because I read this book at the beginning of summer, but there's some kind of law that states that a child can be unwound instead of being aborted. Abortion is legal now, but once your child reaches the age of 13 to 18, you can basically give them up to the government to harvest their organs. Like, if you have, like, a really bad kid or something, that's what you do. You send them to the harvest camps, and they basically get their, like, vital organs taken out until they die. And this entails the journey of 3. I know there's 3 of them. I can't remember their names right now. The names of the people are Connor, Risa, and Lev, and basically Connor is like the bad boy in his family, so he's gonna be sent away. He runs away instead of having his parents send him. I think it was like the next day he was supposed to go, and then he just took off. And then Risa is basically an orphan. She was taken into one of the government homes, and then because she wasn't talented enough and her IQ wasn't high enough, she was sent to be unwound. And then Lev is basically like the sacrificial lamb of his family. 10th of everything that you have should go to God. So Lev is the 10th child out of 10. And so his parents decide that he should be unwound, and he is, like I said, the sacrificial lamb, and you have to feel bad for him, but he is basically on his way to being unwound, and Risa is too, on a bus, but Connor somehow running through the streets makes the bus and Lev's car crash, so Risa just runs away, and then Lev kind of like passes out and stuff, and Connor takes him as like a hostage, and somehow they all end up in the woods together, and they try to come up with a plan, and then it basically entails from there. The book ended very weirdly. I didn't really like the ending, but it wasn't bad, okay? Alright, the last book that I'm going to talk about, which if you have not heard of this book, have not heard of this author, you have been living under a rock or something. And it is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I have only read An Abundance of Catherines, but I mean, currently I have a lot of books that I want to read, so I haven't gotten around to reading, like Looking for Alaska or Paper Towns. And so basically The Fault in Our Stars is about a girl named Hazel. I don't even have to look at like this one what her name was, because I did read this at the beginning of summer, but the book will stick in your mind. I can say that. But it's about a girl named Hazel, and she's going to a support group, and when she goes to the support group, we basically pick up with her, like, she has cancer. It's been a couple of years since she's had cancer, and the day that she goes, Augustus is there too, and it's basically the story of how they fall in love. That's all I can say, but it is not a sadistic, woe is me, love novel, teenage romance, no. Not. So basically, if you end up liking that book, read An Abundance of Catherine's. Quite honestly, Abundance of Catherine's is not my favorite book. I like The Fault in Our Stars a lot better, but I'll get back to you guys once I read the rest of John Green's books. So that is all of the books that I have a hair in my eye. Those are all the books that I have for you, and I hope that you guys check them out and you enjoy them, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.